I agree with affirmative action.
I'm Basil Bakush, and affirmative action.
I agree with affirmative action.
I disagree with affirmative action.
I agree with affirmative action.
I agree with affirmative action.
Affirmative action has been a controversial issue in America since the 60s. The main source of implementation of affirmative action policy has been the Supreme Court. Affirmative action refers to admission policies that provide equal access to education for groups who have been historically excluded or underrepresented.
Affirmative action made a big difference in the amount of people of color that were able to go to the universities, particularly the most elite universities like U of M. But as soon as the law was passed, there was a 30% drop in the elite universities, and much more than that at the graduate level.
When I hear the term affirmative action, I think of safeguards that have been built by societies in an attempt to avoid discrimination against any specific group and to ensure that everyone has a fair shot at reaching their goals.
The Supreme Court yesterday, in a 6-2 decision, upheld Michigan's ban on the use of racial preferences in university admissions. The majority opinion stated it was not up to judges to overturn the decision by Michigan voters to ban affirmative action.
I'm applying to the University of Michigan because Michigan's ban on affirmative action equalizes my opportunity of getting in.
Affirmative action, you could discriminate against white people, you could discriminate against males. I thought there was equal protection under the law, under the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Senator Dale saw it differently, and therefore we have this ridiculous mess that we're in. Affirmative action is Jim Crow in reverse, and that's all it is. And the state of Michigan did proper, the Supreme Court did proper, but for the wrong reason. Affirmative action itself should be illegal.
Justice Roberts had a quote in an earlier case where he said the way to stop discriminating on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. Let's just stop discriminating, folks, rather than coming up with new court decisions. And
I applied to the University of Michigan in the fall of 2012. I was also accepted in the fall of 2012 because I applied early. I don't think my race was a factor in my admissions decision. I did check the box that said that I was white, but I don't think it was a factor in admissions.
And basically said, well, that's naive. There is still racial injustice. There is still a need to overcome racial injustice. And the policy that Michigan enacted by a constitutional amendment sets back racial minorities vis-a-vis others.
Decision eviscerates an important strand of our equal protection jurisprudence for members of historically marginalized groups, which rely on the federal courts to protect their constitutional rights. The decision can hardly bolster hope for a vision of democracy that preserves all the right to participate meaningfully and equally in self-government.
I refuse to be handcuffed to liberal politics because of affirmative action or any other program that handcuffs black people to white liberal politics.
The ban on affirmative action hasn't affected my opinion on the issue. However, it explicitly disallows us to use race as a criteria for awarding someone admission to any school or college. That being said, I think every effort is still being made to ensure that the student population at any institution is as diverse as possible toward enriching the experience of all involved parties, educators and trainees or students.